Among the discoveries, one of the officials said, are varying issues involving the asylum application of a 32-year-old housekeeper who is from Africa, Guyana, and possible links to people involved in criminal activities, including drug smuggling and money laundering. Oh, she's mob-connected. And then magically there's Sarkozy French spies in the building, and then this happens. Oh, but because there was one reported groping maybe that's called rape, now they have a bill in the legislature of New York that all hotel workers have to wear an emergency beacon because there might be rapists somewhere. That's like the TSA. Well, terrorists hit us, and instead of just arming the pilots, I mean, do you really believe on planes that had a 22% occupancy was the average that, you know, dozens of men on board that guys got up with box cutters, everybody kissed? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not aggressing, I'm sorry. Somebody gets up with box cutters and says, I'm hijacking this plane. A major can of Tyrannosaurus Rex is going to get opened. And folks, I've had my, you know what, plenty of times, but people a lot tougher. Look, I'm telling you right now, you get in a fight with an average man, I mean, they are going to stomp the living daylights out of you. When someone is being oppressed, they have the power. When someone attacks you, you've got the power. A few times I got in fights where I wasn't 100% right, and in the right, I had no power. I couldn't black out and tear people to pieces. But I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think New Yorkers and people up there are a bunch of wimps. I've been in New York a lot. The people aren't wimps up there. They're ready to get in a fight like anybody else. I don't believe people from the East Coast laid down like this. I don't believe it, including military veterans that were on board those aircraft. See, I'm now digressing. I don't believe it. It's all fraud. It's ridiculous. But, sorry. The point is, do you really believe that people with box cutters did this, and then now we've got to have the TSA doing this nationwide? Now they're saying if there's ever a shooting at a mall, which they're looking for patsies and mentally ill people to do it. If they advertise enough, there's going to be shoot-ups in malls. Crazies are going to do it. We got to have TSA outside every mall. Then they're going to attack schools. Got to have takeover police state at schools. Now happened. Then there's going to be attacks on the highways. Got to have that there. Then there's going to be attacks at the supermarket. Got to have. I mean, it never ends. And then we have the government with an armed camp to keep us safe. But they're really the ones taking our rights, robbing us, and the tyranny is set up in their own documents for we the people. So see, that's how my brain works. I get into Dominique Strauss-Kahn and the fact that she's mafia-connected, the police are reporting, and the cops must be completely freaked out by this. Because obviously higher-ups, Bloomberg said, go ahead with the prosecution. That's how compartmentalization works. It's not like all the cops are evil. But it's go ahead with the prosecution. We've got the witness. Throw the book at him. And the cops are like, well, here she is. We're going to go ahead and go along with it. And then now the cops start burrowing deeper into it, and they're now going, oh, it looks bad. Looks like a setup. That's why, well, continuing here. Prosecutors and defense lawyers will return to state superior court in Manhattan today. In fact, we need to continue to follow this and see the latest on Kahn. Let's search engine Strauss-Kahn to see the latest. When Justice Michael J. Obas is expected to consider easing the extraordinary bail conditions that he imposed on Mr. Strauss-Kahn in the days after he was charged. Indeed, Mr. Strauss-Kahn could be released on his own recognizance and freed from house arrest, reflecting the likelihood that the serious charges against him will not be sustained. And it just goes on. I got another one here. A maid who accused DSK of sexual assault repeatedly lied, sources say. And again, she's told, hey, you got HIV. They're also reporting that, and then we don't know if that's true. And you want to stay in the U.S., you're connected to all these groups, you're going to get to stay. Just get into his room. And then they insert him into the room, and the rest is history, or her into the room, and the rest is history. And then the enemy of Sarkozy is removed, and they get an even more globalist, because he had been criticizing the total implosion of society. He had been doing this. So I'm done talking about that. There it is. Strauss-Kahn, house arrest ends. That's in the Wall Street Journal. And if we scroll down there, please, I'll be able to read that. But we now know that his reported house arrest ends. Here, I can just pull it up right here. Dominique Strauss-Kahn. Dominique Strauss-Kahn. I can find it out right here and read it. Click news. I just didn't come up. Can you guys put that article back up and just scroll up a little bit? Because I want to see what's going on with this breaking right now. For some reason, I put that in, and the way the system works. There it is. Former International Monetary Fund leader Dominique Strauss-Kahn was released from house arrest Friday, and new revelations about his accuser in an alleged sexual assault, but criminal charges weren't dismissed. So that did happen. At the court hearing, Assistant District Attorney said prosecutors consented to changes to his bail conditions because of their view and strength of charges against Mr. Strauss-Kahn has changed. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Now the French are saying, he's going to win even bigger. He better not get on any airplanes, or Sarkozy isn't going to stop there. Okay, let's go ahead and go to phone calls here. Let's go ahead and talk to Steve in Florida. Steve, you're on the air.
Yeah, hey, Alex. Two things I'd like to bring up real quick. Number one, since you had the senator on about the 9/11 reinvestigation, Dan Patrick, senator in Texas there, I lived in Houston. I lived in Texas for 14 and a half years before I moved here to Florida. But, 2 years ago, I called his show on the anniversary of 9/11. It was the 8th anniversary. And I'm glad he's calling out the corrupt government there in Austin. However, I would like to see you call him out, because the thing is that when I tried to talk about 9/11 being an inside job, he totally shut me down, told the party line of the neocons. And so while I'm glad that he's taking this kind of stand, I still have my doubts about his credibility as one that's for the people in the office that he's in, because of the fact that he will not come out.
Well, I'll be honest. I'll be honest with you. You're talking about State Senator Dan Patrick here in Texas.
Right. The one.
Yeah, they didn't do a special session. We should pressure Perry to bring another one back. And they even killed their whitewash bills. And so Dan Patrick isn't even on the radar screen. I know he was a radio talk show host before becoming a state senator, and now he's extremely prominent. But, in the whole scope of the world, he's a nobody. Of course, I call out anybody who buys into the whole fairy tale, because how do you criticize the TSA groping? Well, what do you expect from a government that criminal elements in it staged the 9/11 attacks? The hijackers on record were trained at U.S. bases. Newsweek, Associated Press. The FBI magically found passports that day, totally made up, in the rubble. Does anyone believe that? They ordered a stand down of NORAD. The list goes on and on. We don't know exactly what happened, but we know there's cops saying, get back, they're going to blow up 7. And the news said Building 7 has fallen its own footprint. And they cut to it, it's still standing there because they had that report ready to get out their story, and they jumped the gun. And I totally hear what you're saying, Stephen. But, at the end of the day, Dan Patrick, give me a break. He's a state senator from Texas, he's been groped, and others have been groped, and other members of the House and Senate have been groped. So they're mad about it. These guys fly a lot. It's like, hey, this is the tyranny you wanted. You want to believe fairy tales, you're going to get jackboots sticking their hands down your pants. Your wife and daughters are going to be felt up by, pedos, as they call them. And so, Dan Patrick will wake up later when America's totally, just Nazi Germany on steroids. That's why we got to plant the seeds now. A lot of folks aren't going to listen now. They're going to listen later when the pain comes. We'll be right back. Okay, Bob Chapman coming up to cover all of this week's economic developments that are big. Obviously, it gets more and more crazy. A lot of other news on Libya, on the police state. We're going to be covering it all in this jam-packed hour, and take your calls for those of you that are holding. But I'm on the Prison Planet forum, which we've just updated prisonplanet.com with a new look. It loads quicker, looks better. And we're getting very close to the social network. That should be done in a month or so. We keep pushing it back, because we always redo other things or upgrade things or try to keep all the other balls in the air, straight that we're involved in. But it's kind of hard to find the Prison Planet forum. When you go to Prison Planet, you got to go to one of the social media links, and it's at the bottom. I'm going to have that changed to being a prominent link. But it's forum.com, prisonplanet.com, because there's millions of posts in there. And I'm on there, sir. I want to look at this, with the Australian leader calling for global government. I mean, I know a lot of them do this now, but I want to find it. And I'm on the main page, and I see general discussion, Prison Planet, educational, art, satire, cartoons, parodies, off-topic, fake news, whining threads, Prison Planet forum journalism, activism, live show. Somebody should post it in that area. Acknowledge defenders, expose enemies, activism, 9/11 material research. Where is this link you're talking about? Caller from South Korea who's Australian.
Okay. If you go to the, I'll go back, it's into the main boards. Then you go general discussion for Prison Planet Educational Forum and Library.
I'm there.
International news. And up the top there on the first page, you'll see Australia's first gang law, 60C, used against 18-year-old Aboriginal boy by gay police officer. I know it's a shocking claim, but Google backs it up. ABC News backs it up. The New South Wales Police own press release backs it up.
Yeah, well, this is the best way then, because I'm on there and I can't find it. Give me the headline, and I'll get it right now. Just give it to me.
Okay. Australia's first gang law, 60C, used against 18-year-old Aboriginal boy. Okay. It's on the international section. Now, 60C Crimes Act is the crime of obtaining true personal information. Google case shows this Aboriginal boy made a one-line comment on Facebook about a police officer's sexuality. If he lied, he would be charged with public defamation. But if you actually know the police officer is gay, you can get 5 years jail for obtaining true personal information. And actually, I was on another radio show in the US, the Kim Commando show, and she went all constitutional and said this could never happen in America because
No, I found it. I found the mainstream news articles. We'll have to look into this. Again, this is what they do. First in Europe, they said you can't be a Nazi or you're arrested. Then you can't criticize government. Then you can't. Robin Page, who isn't even political, said rural communities deserve the same rights as gays and Muslims. Homosexuals and Muslims. And they said the word was now insulting, even though it's like saying homosexual. It's just a name. It's a scientific name. He was arrested, BBC reporter. And so this is the thought crime, and this is what they're now teaching in our public schools here, getting us ready for it. And just incredible. I'll have to look more into this. But, yes, I have the ABC News story out of Australia, and they're reporting it with a straight face. And again, if you call someone heterosexual, you don't get 5 years in prison. That's what hate crimes are. It's special rights. It's like you are gay. You are the supreme ruler, and we must send our children to public school, and you will teach them. You're like, but I don't want my 5-year-old being taught about any type of sex. Shut up, homophobe. We're arresting you. SWAT team, get him. Battle Forge. And, I mean, this is the new America. This is the new England. This is the new, they're trying it in the U.S. Canada, they arrest you similarly. Sir, this is incredible. I'm glad you got it on the show. Holy mackerel. Somebody on a Facebook, some kid just made a joke about some website. Don't let hate dictate. Embrace diversity. And so the guy made a comment about it, just an offhanded thing, and he's going to jail. I mean, boy, I tell you, Australia, woo, evil.
This is Alex.
If you want to know what tyranny is going to look like, we're going to play this Ronald Reagan clip in a moment. Look at England, look at Australia, look at Canada. I see the reports constantly where a BBC reporter, Robin Page, host of One Man and His Dog, is actually pretty liberal, in a speech said they're shutting down our farms, they're banning hunting. We need the same rights for the culture of rural people as Muslims and homosexuals. And they arrested him and said, we have a committee of people who decide what's hate, and the word homosexual is that. So I guess if I call my dog a canine, it's hateful to dogs. Or if I call a frog a reptile, or if I say I'm a heterosexual, I should then be arrested. Or if I call the sun a gaseous combustion system, it's sonophobic. Or if I call a television, an old-fashioned television, a cathode ray tube display device, arrest. But, I mean, let's say you called someone horrible names. Let's say you called someone who was gay the derogative terms. It's free speech.